So I was on the phone with my very number one best pal of all the best pals I've got. And I'm going to tell you something. I do have like 20 very dearest best friends. And they are all categorized differently. These are work friends. These are Hollywood friends. These are Lexington friends. These are artist friends. These are hometown friends. Anyway, whatever. But this is the one that's just, he beats them all. Because we've all got that one friend, right? Who's like your family to you, that like is the one you don't even want to talk to, you don't even have to speak with this person, but this person's the only person you want to speak to and hear from, because you have exactly the same memories and exactly not the exact same thoughts, because it wouldn't have been fun if we had. But he influenced me a lot in life, and I think I might have influenced him too, although I influenced him for the worst probably. So we were just talking, we were reminiscing, and we were talking about when I went to University of Kentucky in fall of 1979. Lonnie had been there since fall of 1976, and by the time I got there, he was going to school, and he was going to school probably full time. I don't know. He might have had to cut off a little because he was working full time, uh, second shift at Central Baptist Hospital, and he got his own apartment. He got his own apartment the summer before I came up there, I think, or maybe even a whole year before. I don't know. He was self. What I'm saying was he was self sufficient. He was there, and he was an adult already living in the world, plus being a student at UK. And I went up there, and I flunked out real fast because I wasn't ready to go. I shouldn't have been ready to go, but I was ready to go, and I knew I was going to be an artist. I was going to go to the University of Kentucky because Lonnie went to the University of Kentucky, and he was my best friend and my safety net for when I went to the University of Kentucky. And it was just all planned. It's what I was going to do. I was going to have a brilliant career. I didn't know if I was going to be academic. I didn't know if I was going to be. I always knew that I would have like a salon of sorts where I would be the person that they all knew was the one who was the creative one. Because that's how you are when you're like 17. You're like, oh, when I said I wanted to do the music, I didn't mean I wanted to perform the music. I meant I was going to tell you which bands to get. That happens a lot here in Hollywood. Anyway, back to my bestie and I were talking about it. And so I moved to my dorm in Blanding 3 in the Kerwin Blanding Complex in late August of 1979, and my parents brought me there. I woke up that morning, the alarm went off, and the song was Talk About Pop Music, Shooby Dooby Doo Up. That was the number one song. It was that one, and like there was another weird song that was like a theme to a TV show about some anyway, it was like that song, like "Let the love roll, let the thing, let the beat." It was something like "Love is happy, love is." Anyway, those songs both still make me kind of sink in my stomach because I remember this is the day I have to go out and be a man and go to college. This is Sunday. I go to college. I will spend tonight in a dorm with a stranger, and you know what? I did. And when I got there, Lonnie was just there. He was just there in my dorm. And he was like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be great. Don't even worry about it. In fact, you can come over to my house later when your parents leave. Come over and see me. And you know what? I did. And I did that every day. I did it every day. And I flunked out very quickly. And when they said, you've been dropped from all your classes and you're not actually a student on the books anymore, but you're in the dorm, we're going to have to ask you to go. And I said, having a bad time back at home, which is both responsible for me not doing well at college and also not wanting to go home. So, okay, well, you're on good behavior and, you are paid up. So you can just stay on until the end of the semester. But if you plan to stay on after that, you got to get your shit together. And I said, yeah, okay. But I knew I wouldn't. So from that moment on, my days, I'll tell you what, I would wake up when I woke up in my dorm room, I would wake up and I would see what was on TV and I would smoke some cigarettes and then I would go to the grill and get lunch because I didn't eat breakfast. So I would either get 2 cheeseburgers and a bag of Ruffles, or I would get 2 fish burgers with cheese, which were delicious. And I would usually wait for my friends who were attending classes to get out of class and come back in, and then I would hang out with them in the early evening. And then when they would go to do their homework or whatever they were going to do for the night, and it was later in the evening, like 10:30, I would start walking, and I would walk from the Blanding-Kerwin complex. It wasn't across town, but to me it felt like across town. I just walked down Rose Street to his apartment. Was on the edge of the campus. Lots of students lived there, and so almost every day, the only times I really woke up in my dorm were if I'd gotten in early and went to sleep it off, or if he and I had some kind of brawl, if I'd gotten mad at him and went home. But I'm telling you what, I was at his house every night, and I was learning to be an asshole. I was an asshole. And here's the thing. We were having this chat, and I went, oh my God, I was an asshole. And he said, that would be a really good video for you to tell people what an asshole you were. And I was like, okay, which instance of me being an asshole? Okay, so I'm a student at University of Kentucky. Lonnie has just been made full-time at his job, which is 3 to 11 in the afternoon. And he gets up in the morning and he goes to college classes. I don't know if he was full-time or not, but he was going to college classes. And then he did his little lunch, and then he'd go to work, and he'd work until like 11:30, and then he would come home to his apartment. And when he would get there, I would be waiting, ready to raise hell, because I had a cushy little late nap, and I was already ready, and I usually had a big bottle of white wine called Almaden, which we didn't know how to pronounce it. Sometimes we call it, is it French? Is it Almadon? We would say, you want some Almadon? We like the dry white wine. We felt so sophisticated. It got you really drunk really fast. And most nights, I would, on my walk over, stop into the Coliseum Liquor, where I learned early I could disguise myself as like a 65-year-old man very easily. I had the clothes. I always dressed in vintage weird stuff. But I could do it, and then I could apply just a little bit of makeup to myself to make myself have hollows under the eyes. And let's pull out some veins in your hands with just a touch of shadow. It worked. I went to Coliseum Liquor at the age of 17 and was not carded and looked like my papaw pretty much. And then I did that for honestly about 2 weeks, but every day I would just lighten up on the papaw thing until everybody there knew me and everybody thought me to be a full-on adult, but I wasn't. So I never got carded ever, and then they knew me, and then I could just go in with my fat little baby face and just get cases of beer or big bottles of wine or whatever I wanted, and I would take that to Lonnie's house. So that was my contribution to our friendship and our social life late at night. Here's the thing. In just a couple weeks after I got there, it was mid-September. It was September 11th, 1979. My best friend Lonnie turned 21. He had already been self-sufficient for years out there in the world. I mean, and I was just a barnacle. Just a barnacle on his side. Anyway, his birthday was coming up, and it was like, I said, look, this needs to be a super killer birthday for you because it's your 21st birthday. And he said, well, let's go to Daryl's 1899 or whatever it was called, 1880, whatever at the time, whatever. Daryl's was fun. It had really cool pictures and photos and stuff. It was like more sophisticated than Cracker Barrel, more cityfied and more Victorian, but it had like double-decker bus inside it you could eat at. It had crystal chandeliers, Tiffany sconces, family portraits, Victorian sofas. It was just really cool, and they had a big eclectic menu. And the best part of it was they hardly carded anybody. And the thing was, as soon as Lonnie turned 21, and I was still 17 for 3 months after he turned 21. Once they carded him, they didn't card anybody else because he looked 11. When he when he was 21, he looked. No, I'm gonna tell you the truth. He looked 13. Honestly, when he was 21. I'm sorry. I've just got a itchy place, and it's not my butt. I'm itching. It's my hip. There. Anyway, so it's his 21st birthday, and he said we're gonna party down at Daryl's restaurant, and we're gonna have cocktails. And I'm like, great. And I never had any money. I'd spend my money. You know what I had access to, and I would withdraw $15 a day. I would write a check for cash, a $15 check a day, because that's what you were allowed at the sundry store there in the complex. And I would get that, and it was enough to buy liquor and snacks and stuff like that, or any kind of little thing. If I want to paint a picture or something, I had to get the money out to go buy the stuff at the bookstore so that I could go back to the dorm. And the days that I remained at the dorm, I'd be painting like portraits of Elizabeth Taylor and Betty Davis, and the people would go, God, you sure are talented. Do you ever go to class? I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. So Lonnie's 21st birthday. I'm hanging out with a couple of girls who are my good friends at the dorms. One is from Nelson County, and the other one is her cool friend from the dorm, who is kind of more like we are. Because, when we got into... Okay, no, I'm not going to go into that whole story. Anyway, and one of her friends at the dorm, and I'm hanging out with them, and I'm like, it's Lonnie's birthday, and we're going to go to Daryl's. And they were like, oh, I'm so jealous. And I said, well, why don't you come? And they're like, we can't come, can we? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's his birthday. He would want you to. Anyway, he's crazy about you, honey. Oh, yeah, come on, let's go. And I just got all excited, and I called up my sister. She's not my sister, but she's like my foster sister. She was our sister in my family. We lived together. She lived with us during high school and even after high school for a while. She was a family member. In the 70s, everybody had an extra new family member. It was like that show, the 70s show. Everybody had one of the kids' best friends somehow just ended up living with you, and it was good. It was better for everybody. It was fun. So anyway, we had that. So Pat, she was living in Lawrenceburg, and I thought, Pat, this is Lonnie's birthday. You have to come. You have to come. We're going to go to Daryl's for his birthday. We're going to have cocktails. And she said, oh, okay, I'll try to come. So anyway, the thing was, she showed up, and we were all suddenly at Daryl's, and Lonnie got carded, and he got his first drink, and we were like, we'll have those daiquiris all around. We're going to... Do they have the 2 chimichanga din? Oh, that's Chi-Chi's. What do they have here that's good? Because, honey, I'm famished. And we were all really hungry. And the thing was, when we got to the end of the meal, the waiter brought the check. And Lonnie said, okay, time to divvy up. And everybody looked like, well, I don't have any money. And I was verbal. I was like, well, I don't have any money. Oh, he said to me, I can't pay for all this. I was okay with you and maybe Iris, but I can't pay for Iris's friend. I'm okay with Pat Thornburg, but there are 3 other people here, and I'm poor. And I, as a good friend, said, well, I can't possibly tell them that. They're expecting you to pay. You're going to have to pay. This is funny now. It was not funny then. And I was an asshole. I did things like that to him all the time. I just thought, oh, well. I mean, when I look back, I think, oh, I was always so noble and so generous of spirit. I was not. I was an asshole to my best friend a lot. And I don't understand why he stuck by my side and we ended up being best friends like that. I was an asshole to him. Look. Okay, then I left Lexington after causing a great deal of trouble. Looking back at for him, I caused a great deal of trouble. I did. But anyway, I just went off and I like started a new life and got a new education. Then I said, "Hey, guess what? I've been hired in Lexington because I'm gonna come and I'm gonna lay up with you and your roommate who has nothing to do with me. That is a business relationship with you and a friendship relationship with you. He is your roommate. You have decided to share a 2-bedroom apartment." And I will encroach upon that, and I will come stay just till I get on my feet, which you actually say, that's great, that's a good thing, we'll have fun. But the thing is, after about like 5 or 10 days of this, it was like, do you think that, and I'd be like, I can't really do it this paycheck. Next paycheck, I will though, because I gotta make the money before I can go out and get a place of my own. But I was also really enjoying just rolling into his house. Just rolling into his house saying, look what I learned today. And I think I was imbibing in things then that I don't imbibe in anymore. So, anyway, I was young, terrible. Okay, I was 20. I was 20. Once again, way too young to be shoved out into the real world. But I was like a barnacle on my friend's side. I could stay with him until he physically had to take me and find me an apartment. Go, this is your new apartment. This is where you will be staying. And I was like, this is great. He was like, hand him your money. Okay, this is where you live now. And I was like, yeah, but I'm coming home with you, right? And he was like, not tonight. And I was like, but we just sat and watched, like, that scary movie where the zombies are eating people. It's like, well, not tonight. You're here now. This is your home, so bye-bye. Anyway, I really took advantage of it. I stayed at his apartment for 52 days. I made a lot of trouble. I made a lot of trouble for him and his roommate. And I didn't make trouble for our delightful friend Ellen across the hallway, but I made a lot of trouble for him until he said, please go. And he never said, I don't want to see you. Like when I left and I got my apartment, he never said, no, I don't want to see you for a long, long time. But he did say, you owe me 52 days. 52 days of rent free if I'm ever hurting. And I said, you got it, bud. You got it. And he never collected that. But anyway, when I look back on it, there were so many times when I was just a totally entitled little asshole there, just taking advantage of my friend, and I can't just blame it on, I just can't blame, I guess I could blame some of it on hard liquor, things like that, but I think generally, God just said, this little guy, he's an asshole, but for some reason, I'm going to give you a spark. You're going to see a beauty in him that others don't see, and you're going to take him under your wing, and you're going to protect him, and you're going to sacrifice yourself for him in many instances until you stand up for yourself, and then you'll hurt his feelings, and then, anyway, like, it's just been that's kind of how it went. But somewhere along the way, I developed a kind heart and realized that this is my friend. So, I'm going to go because it's 18 minutes, but this has been a story of how I was a big a-hole in the 80s. Big. Bye.